Welcome to episode 2
Yay.
of Enlivening Musings. All right, today we are going to be going over the overwhelming world of self-care, which is kind of, I don't know, would it be an oxymoron? Like, how funny is that? Like, self-care and being in a state of overwhelm.
Yeah. It's a thing, though. I felt it many times, a lot. We're just in the age of so much information coming at us. Everyone has Instagram, Facebook. Everyone has their own brand of business coming at you now.
LinkedIn, TikTok, Snapchat. I mean, you're just scratching the surface.
I know. There's so many things you can do. And it does become overwhelming. And then you kind of just, I know for me, sometimes I just get into like,
Well, and I think about all the people who are just like starting on this journey. Like, I feel like in my practice, I'll have all the people who are like, you know, this is where they are. This is their zone and everything's great. And like, they find me and they're like, yay. And then there's people who are like, I have no idea where to begin. Mm-hmm. This is the first time I've ever heard of ... This is the first time I've ever even had a massage or something.
Yeah.
And they're just like, well, I'm just, I'm kind of thinking about herbs and I don't know where to start. I'm kind of thinking about using some oils and, I've had a rep throw some stuff at me and like, I don't really know what I'm doing. And so it's like, there's so much out there. Like, there are so many amazing healing modalities out there.
Yeah.
And like ways to even do things at home and for yourself that I think it gets really overwhelming, it gets really confusing. It's like, where do I start? And what is safe?
Yeah.
Like, I think that becomes like a huge thing. Like, it's like, just, I just threw out essential oils for a minute. And it's like, wow, there's a whole world of people trying to self-heal themselves. And there's a lot of improper use and improper knowledge being thrown out there. So it's like,
absolutely.
Where do we begin? How do we start? And how would we want to guide somebody on that journey if they're just kind of getting started with self-care? And how would we want to encourage somebody who's maybe been doing self-care for a while, but now is like leveling up or going in a different direction?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I've obviously learned a lot from Crystal as we become friends. And I think sometimes, part of it is, for me, I've, kind of been in this like healing world for quite a while now. And sometimes I have to look back at how far I've come and realize I do actually have some cool self-care practices in place. And maybe I don't have to add another one, and like, kind of like we've talked in the intro, is coming back to like our own voice and our own essence and like what we need and what we really have time for in our life. Like, sometimes I think reflecting back is when you see people doing all these things, it's like, oh my gosh, I want to know that too, because I'm just such a learner by nature. But realizing like, I'm in like early motherhood now. I'm in the gamut, right? I have a 16-year-old and I have like a 5-year-old and an 18-month-old. So I'm still in early motherhood, and I have to remind myself that a lot of times that is my practice, is being a present mother and trying, being a peaceful mother, not trying to like do all these self-care things on top of it, and kind of finding that balance, I guess.
Well, and that reminds me of like, everybody will hear me say this a million times too, but it doesn't always have to be something big.
Yeah.
Like, especially with new moms, I'm always just like, just really enjoy your cup of tea.
Yeah.
Like, that is self-care. Oh, you know what? I saw like an article. Ooh, it makes me want to like find it now. I saw an article and it was all about like, enjoying your tea is not self-care. And the point of the article was to say, like, women just need support. Like, that was the underlying, like, this is what its message was that like women need more support, especially when they're mothering and working and just taking care of the house and just taking care of the house and whatever it is, And so I get it. I get what like the purpose of the article was. And it's like, yeah, that's great. And you totally like dismissed a lot of things that are actually self-care.
Yeah.
Like there's like, I think even like taking a bath or something was in there. And it's just like, man, that is so profound self-care.
Yeah.
So I think like really breaking it down to like that baseline, like what is your self-care? What does fill your cup on a daily basis that maybe isn't like so profound seeming or so big? Is it that you do eat foods that feel really good to you and you've got that nailed down? Is it that you have a phenomenal morning routine? Is it that you do get time to listen to a podcast or a book or, like what is it for you?
Yeah.
And maybe like taking that just moment to really like think, I don't have to add, like you're saying, I don't have to add more things to it so much, but I just need to start with listening.
Yeah.
Like listening to myself and like let that be the guide. So being with that, like I just am thinking, like if you're looking at this self-care, and it's all just being like thrown at you and just like, well, I'll do this, to like take that moment to be like, how does that actually feel for me?
Yeah. Does that make me feel more stressed thinking of trying to fit that into my routine? I mean, for me, self-care recently was getting away from my house.
Yeah.
And just getting a little break and feeling okay with that and knowing that that was okay. That was very rejuvenating for me.
Yes.
More than I even realized.
So then even that gauge of like, how does ... fill me up? Like, is having that cup of tea, is taking that walk around the block, is having that, trip to the park or whatever it is, like, how is that actually feeling for me? Is that one that's working for me?
Yeah. Yeah, I know like I've realized what's kind of become my self-care is when I take a shower. Like if I can take a shower without the kids coming in and do like, I kind of do like a modified dry brushing because I don't like being cold and my bathroom's really cold. So I do like my dry brushing in the shower. And then I kind of do backwards of what's been taught, but that's okay. It's my own thing. And then I get out and I do like an oil massage on my body and I do breast massage to kind of connect to myself. And that's what I take time to do. And some days it's really quick and some days takes I get more time to really experience it, but it kind of just becomes like just that's like my thing that I do. And sometimes I think once we get into routine, we kind of don't realize how like the effects it has, like the positive effects, because we're just doing it all the time. So it's like a level up. And so kind of reflecting on like how far you've come, for me, that work has really helped me like love and connect my body in a different way, especially after having kids. So,
well, and then I think bringing the consciousness back to it, so like if you're so for instance, I have a great morning routine and like now I've gone from, okay, I'm going to really just like massage love into my body when I'm doing my morning Abhyanga to, can I feel more pleasure? What am I feeling? What are my sensations? So it's like bringing your awareness back to it. So even though it's like routine, if you bring this new little flavor to it, that can just revitalize it even more and make it like even translate something. It reminds me of doing like some neurological reprogramming too, when you do different things to like increase your plasticity of your brain and stuff. So like you can take this routine thing and like shift it just a little to then make it be a thing.
Yeah.
Anyway.
No, that's cool. I like that. That's a good idea. One thing I did notice as I was first starting doing it, I said, let me notice areas I don't touch.
Mm.
And I didn't necessarily try to figure out why. I was just like, oh, that's interesting. I don't normally put lotion or oil on that part of my body. Or I was noticing certain areas like my C-section scar. I would hold my breath when I would touch that area.
Cool. Like,
and
cool.
I know, this was like a whole nother subject and journey of how connected and the emotions that live in that part of my body and just my whole journey with that. So even me just realizing I was doing that, it gave me a chance to spend some time there, slow down and breathe. So that's a good reminder, just to even maybe you already have a little self-care you like, but just bringing a little more new mindfulness to it would be maybe a great little, I don't want to know if I want to say the word challenge, but a great little tip that people could add to something they're already doing rather than
an invitation.
An invitation, yes, I like that word. Rather than feeling like, let's add this whole new thing, And if you do feel like really drawn to some new idea for self-care, like make sure it makes you feel good.
Right.
Make sure it makes you feel happy and excited to try, and it doesn't feel like pressure to do one more thing as a woman.
Exactly.
Because there's already a lot of pressures on us to be all these things. So yeah, self-care, it's an interesting topic for sure.
It is. And I think that we've summed up like that most poignant part of it is that it's so individualized and you want to feel on like what is going to be like the best for you. So like maybe morning routine isn't your thing and it's an evening routine, or it's the middle of the day, these different things. And again, like trying to not have it be something that like has to take up a lot of time because then you won't do it. Like that's just a scientific fact that people have a harder time.
And then you'll probably feel guilty.
Yeah, and then you feel guilty and awful, and now you're like a terrible person.
Yeah. I like that you said, you don't have to do it right in the morning. I was listening to something recently, and it was just talking about like a lot of like all these teaching and routines. They're just really based on like the male experience. Like men do better when they like wake up in the morning, their testosterone is high to like do all these things. For a lot of times for women, depending where we're at in our cycle, the morning is not our time to be like doing all these things and exerting all this energy. And I mean, just hearing that was like a huge relief for me because I kept feeling like, oh, I should get up and, do yoga and meditate. Like that's what everyone says to do to start my day. But I still have a little baby and he's still getting up at night and I'm sleeping every last second I can right now. So
and I love sleep, period. And that's a very good self-care thing. Like, and I know my own rhythm. Like my body, when I'm left to do what I want, loves to wake up between 9 and 10. Mm-hmm. It loves it. Like that's just my thing. And I know that about myself, and I love that about myself, and I refuse to let anybody tell me I have to be different than that. Like, no. Right. And whenever people are like, oh, get up before your kids, that totally works for some people. It totally works for some people, and that's awesome. So if that's your jam, go for it. But, like, never in a million years was that my thing. I tried when pre-motherhood. I tried getting up in the morning and taking a shower and doing yoga and all this stuff. And it was awful for me. It was awful, and it did not last for very long. Like, it was just like, nope, that is just not my thing. And that's okay. And I think that that's where a lot of people do get hung up, where it's like, oh, but it's supposed to be this way. So I'm going to give y'all permission to do it your way. Because if you need that permission, I give it to you. I am the authority giving it to
I
you.
give it to you as well. We should all give ourselves permission just to be ourselves, find our own rhythm and cycle. And that's what it's really all about.
It is.
Living
I love it.
The feminine way.
So simplify it.
Yeah.
Period.
Yes.
Love it. Awesome. Well, we hope you love it. In any of the comment section, go ahead and write what your biggest takeaway is, and we will see you next time.